"Rejoice," says the angel to Mary. "You will conceive in your womb and bear a son, and you shall call him Jesus." Luke 1:28-31. It seems to be an announcement of pure joy, destined to make the Virgin happy. Certainly, the divine message would have filled Mary's heart with light and strength. Nevertheless, she found herself faced with a crucial decision: say yes to God, risking everything, even her life, or to decline the invitation and continue along her ordinary journey. What does she do? She responds thus: "Let it be to me according to your word." Luke 1:38. Let it be, fiat. But in the language in which the gospel is written is not simply "let it be." The verbal expression indicates a strong desire. It indicates the will that something happen. In other words, Mary does not say, "If it has to happen, let it happen. It cannot be otherwise." It is not resignation. She does not express a weak and submissive acceptance, but rather she expresses a strong desire, a sincere desire. She is not passive, she is active. She does not defer to God, she cleaves to God. She is a woman in love, prepared to serve her Lord completely and immediately. She could have asked for a little time to think it over, or even for some more explanations about what would happen. Perhaps she could have set some conditions. Instead, she does not take her time, she does not keep God waiting, she does not delay. How often, let us think of ourselves now, how often our life is made up of postponements, even the spiritual life. For example, I know it is good for me to pray, but today I do not have time. Tomorrow. We postpone things. I will do it tomorrow. I know it is important to help someone. Yes, I must do it. I will do it tomorrow. It is the same change of tomorrows, postponing things. Today, on the threshold of Christmas, Mary invites us not to postpone, to say yes. Do I have to pray? Yes, and I pray. Do I have to help others? Yes. How shall I do it? I do it, without putting it off. Every yes costs something. Every yes has its cost. But it still costs less than what the courageous yes cost her. That prompt yes, that "let it be to me according to your word," which brought us salvation. Sometimes it can be overwhelming to be given a choice. Many times, in today's culture especially, we hear about something called the paradox of choice. We have so many choices. In my own medical ethics work, we listen to people who tell us all the time they just wish their doctors or somebody would just tell them what to do. But that's not what God gives Mary here. Mary is explicitly given a choice. Mary could have said no. And that's a very important thing with regard especially to something like pregnancy, and especially being pregnant via the Holy Spirit. It's important, very important, that Mary would have been given the opportunity to say no. But she said yes, and the reflection from the Holy Father here is very poignant about what that means, is that it's not putting it off until tomorrow. It's saying yes to God in the moment, and in a way trusting God in a way that throws some of our caution, some of the things that can paralyze us to the wind. I was thinking about this passage, especially in light of a recent gospel passage from Luke 21, in which the disciples of Christ are told when they're put before the judge not to prepare your defense beforehand, for I myself shall give you the wisdom in speaking, that all your adversaries will be powerless to resist or refute. I gotta say, as somebody who's even speaking from notes right now, that's a really tough gig, right? To imagine not preparing your defense beforehand, but be given the wisdom in speaking here. But that's, I think, very much in the sort of spirit of what the Holy Father is asking us here. Sometimes if you over-prepare, if you overthink, those are the things that imagine or push us into deferring. Well, I'm not ready now. I need to prepare. I'm not ready at this moment. I need to kind of game this out and think about how it goes. But I think it's very important that in the spirit of what the Holy Father is asking, in the spirit of Mary's energetic, positive, not sort of resigned fiat here, is the trust in God that Mary is involved with here, that her husband, St. Joseph, obviously had to go through with the whole Christmas story. It really does involve us sort of letting go and letting God, as it were. And of course, we need to be prudent, right? It would be imprudent of me, knowing myself, to just speak to you without notes today. That wouldn't have gone well. But there are some things that we need to do that seem foolishness to the world, right? There's some ways of being Christian, followers of Christ, that may seem like foolish to the world. And I've had this experience myself. Maybe you've had it too. But what better season than the one we're in now, the one of Advent, to work on this spiritual discipline of saying yes in a way that gives us over to God, that maybe might seem foolishness to the world, but is letting God's power, God's plan overtake us and overshadow us like it did for Mary. Something to think about this Advent season, and wishing all of you a wonderful Christmas, and thank you for listening.